Okay, in this lesson, one of the questions, or two of the questions, ask you to plot your data, and you have the data set available to you in an Excel file. So what we're going to do here is open those up and see how we can plot distance versus radioactive age, and then enter that information here into the whiteboard. I'm going to open the Excel file, and I'm going to select the data for the first graph. So distance is here. I select that. Because the second column is not adjacent, I'm going to hold down the control button while I select the second set of data. And then I'm going to go to Insert. I'm going to select the chart, and it's a scatter chart that I want. So I'm going to select that over here. Once it creates the chart for you, you just want to check that the X and Y data are in the correct place. So the largest number for distance, and we want distance to be on our X-axis, is around 4,000, and that looks like what we've got here on the X-axis. The largest number for radioactive age is in the 40s, and that looks like what we have here. If that doesn't happen for you, if things are flip-flopped and your X and Y axes are reversed, you can click here where it says switch row column. You might need to click several times. So it might look like this, or this, or this, but you want to end up having your graph look like that. So just a little bit of troubleshooting in case that happens to you. Here's how you edit the graph. So what you would want to do is give your graph a meaningful title. And so you can give your graph a more meaningful title. You can resize and you can change things. Also, if you click on this plus icon, it will allow you to add in extra information. So I'm going to click here to add axes titles because we want to give the X and Y axis appropriate titles. And then we also want to add a trend line. This is a linear graph, so we want a linear trend line to be included. Down here, I just am going to double click, and I'm going to copy my information directly from the chart that has the units in it, so it has everything we need. And I'm going to enter that information here. The same thing for the y-axis. I'm going to copy the title and the units. We need to make sure that we include both of those. And I'm going to paste that information in here. Now, how do you copy this and put this graph into GoFormative to be graded as part of your assignment? So what you need to do, you can resize or change anything around if you want, but you want to select the Snip and Sketch tool. It looks like this icon down here, but if you don't know where that is, you can type in the Snipping tool or Snip and Sketch tool. You want to open that up and select a new snip. I don't want that one, so I need to close this out first. And I am going to select the area on my screen where the graph is. It's going to bring it back into this tool for me. You can, take a screenshot in any way that you are most comfortable with, but if you are not familiar with this tool, it is fairly useful. I'm going to save this as my distance versus radioactive age graph. And then once I have that file saved, I'm going to go back to GoFormative, and I'm going to click here for Edit Background. When you click on the picture icon, it will ask you what file you want to select. And here is my file. And once you have that inserted, select Done, and that is ready for grading. So that's all you need to do to enter your information there. I'm just going to go ahead and show you. So if you have the gist of it and you feel like you are ready to go, you can stop watching the tutorial here and you can do your own work. Or if you would like to see how to create the other graph, distance versus elevation, it's a bit easier. Since the two columns are adjacent, you just select both together. Go back up to the Insert toolbar, insert a scatter plot, And again, you want to make sure that your X and Y axis are appropriate. So again, about 44,000 is our distance number, and our elevation number is a bit more. It gets closer to 4,500, and your graph should look like this. It's an exponential decay pattern that you'll see. There isn't a good trend line, so when you go here to adding trend lines, you really don't need to do that because there isn't going to be a good one that fits, but you can add axes titles, and you should, so that we can label them appropriately. Again, distance is our information that's being represented on the x-axis, and approximate elevation is our y-axis title. Because I wasn't able to have Excel make a trend line for me, when I make my chart here, Snip and Sketch or Paint are other programs that will let you do that by hand. And it's okay for you to just kind of give it an eyeball rough sketch. So I'm just going to pick a line here and I'm going to draw my sketch. And you can see I kind of dip below the x-axis. It's not a perfect line, but it is a good approximation. And I'm going to save this as distance versus I'm just going to call it that so I don't confuse it with my other graph. And then back in GoFormative, the next question where I am asked to show my graph. I can enter that in. You can also add extra text if you forgot to add in your title, as you see I did here, or you forgot to add something. You can use the text box and do that straight in. So don't feel like you have to go back and recreate the image if you have something and you want to add it in directly, or you could even add in that trend line directly from GoFormative. Once that's finished up, just go back through, make sure that you've answered each question completely. Question 8 and question 6 ask you to describe the relationship of the graph above. So here it's the age versus distance graph, and just describe the trend line. Describe what happens as distance from the original island increases. What happens to the age of the islands? Do the islands get older as you go away, or do they get younger as you go away? Give that sort of information in your answer here. And then do the same for distance versus elevation. So what changes about the elevation of the islands as you move away from the original island? So go ahead and type your answer in there. It's only 10 questions for this lab, and it shows you the point value for each question. So make sure that you are thinking critically and that you are giving your best answer. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Text, email, or a phone call are all great ways to find me and to get help in completing your lab. If you have any questions, I hope to hear from you, and keep up the great work.